Hello?
Hi, I just seen that you moved in and I wanted to welcome you to the neighborhood and I had a piece of pie. I didn't know if you were home or not.
Yeah, my wife's not home right now, but I'm available.
Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 352. It is the third day of the week, aka the Spirit Bomb workout. I'm feeling very good right now, very excited for this workout. But, anyways, to the main subject matter for today staged videos. So, the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because I guess this has been a phenomena that's been going on for literally decades now at this point, but it is something that happens in a prevalent state more than normal nowadays, and that is that a lot of videos are staged nowadays. You can't really believe half of them, especially with the abundance of cameras everywhere and phones and everything like that. It's very normal to see videos that are completely staged from different levels, whether it be something as simple as talking to the camera or something a lot more elaborate. I think that it is become, I guess it's a genre of its own almost in a weird way, but I think the main reason why I want to discuss it is just because of the nature of most of these types of videos where they're obviously staged and or people use them to prove a point even though it's an obvious sketch or something like that, or like in the case of the intro video, an introduction to a pornography video. So it's things like that, but it's very interesting when looking at it from different lenses, especially nowadays with like things like AI coming up and things like that, which it's a whole other episode, but I will touch upon it later. But it's just interesting that I think we're starting to reach a point where like people are not necessarily staging videos, but staging their life to make staged videos, if that makes any sense. They've gone beyond the point where they fake something for a video, and then they fake more so now where they fake everything to make a video. But we'll get into more details and a lot of more thoughts about this because this is kind of weirdly deep and has a bunch of places it can go. So we'll talk all about that and a few other details when we get to Mother Base.
All right, so started this day off with 80 press, which is pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter for today. Staged videos. So the main reason why I want to discuss this is because obviously we are now living in the age of staged and faked videos at this point. Now, when looking at stuff, we are basically the first thought is this real? That is literally the number one thought that goes through everybody's head now when watching a video, because of the fact that many videos nowadays are easily staged. Most of the time it happens because of people trying to get a rise from others, as well as trying to reach that quote unquote virality that happens from the internet. So people will create scenarios that don't really exist in order to get people to watch whatever video they have and somehow profit off of this, whatever would happen if they get successful off of a staged video, even though sometimes it's a skit, which is a whole other subject for a whole other day. I think this is a phenomenon that's obviously been happening for decades. This isn't necessarily new to the internet, but the prevalence of it because of the internet and because of how easily videos are being able to be shown, something like a Bigfoot sighting on a VHS back in the day is something that took years for it to circulate. Nowadays take 2 seconds of a video and all of a sudden 99% of the internet can see it. Like, it just depends on what it is. But the main point about it I'm trying to make with that is that because of the ubiquity of the internet, we now know that we can't trust basically anything. And of course it's the internet, so you never trust anything on the internet. Nobody lies on the internet. So I hate these type of videos. I think majority of people hate them. Even the skit versions of them I personally hate, because it's just trying to do something. It's like a messaging thing that I'm not a fan of, because it's like they're trying to create a fake scenario in order to have a fake resolution that isn't real, because it's not in the real world. And I understand why people do it, and it seems like as if that even things that are supposed to be quote unquote real, like live streaming, has now been defunct to trying to clip bait, but that's kind of a different story. I think a lot of people have realized that even things in reality are kind of mundane, and thus because of that they had to try to go out of their way to create something extraordinary, but that looks real, you know, and it's kind of ridiculous. I find it very stupid. And a lot of the time it's in these stupid scenarios where people are like, it's something where people are causing fake harm or doing a prank or doing crime or something serious, or just random scenarios, in which case they're faking the scenario. You know, they tell the person that this is happening, you know, obviously because their faces are blurred, but at the same time, they're very stupid. Or even worse, if they're a promotion for something else completely different, because that has worked in multiple times before. I feel like most of the time when people realize that it's not real, most people will just say, fuck that. I don't care about this thing. I think that we're past the age of it being a viable marketing option now. Like even in the video in the beginning, it is a video for a woman's OnlyFans, which is ridiculous in its own right. But the fact that we're getting that level of marketing there, we are reaching the bottom of the barrel when it comes to marketing, to say the least. And then obviously there is the big elephant in the room with the rise of AI videos and how they've become relatively well done, and they're only going to get better as time progresses, as we've seen from the difference between the Will Smith eating spaghetti video and probably doing that nowadays using Sora. It is something that is going to blur the lines even more so. I think what's more interesting to me is the fact that realistically, we probably also have gotten used to certain video formats looking strange, but I feel like because we only have the public sector version of these things, there have been people in higher up spots in the government that have better technology with these AI things that have probably already used some of this. I'm not even going to try to pretend that this is like new, because AI isn't new. It is just getting to the point of where public consumption can get to it. So always remember that, but kind of a different story for a different day. But I think that as time progresses, we're going to get the first national scare of AI that's going to somebody is going to make a fake video of something crazy happening and people are going to believe it happens, and then all of a sudden that's going to set off a chain reaction accidentally or possibly on purpose, depending on who it is, but it's going to happen. And then once that chain reaction starts, it's going to come out years later that it wasn't really real and that this entire thing was made up because of X, Y, or Z group wanting to do X, Y, or Z things, or some fucking idiot just made it up and then all of a sudden that's how things happen. But that's the double-edged sword of the internet. It's great because you can get any information at your fingertips at any time, but the other side is believing any information at any time as well. So you're very much screwed because nothing is real anymore. Also, staged videos is just another way of making a staged life that is presentable to social media, which is something that is very bothersome to me. I never want to make a staged video that's not obviously like, oh, this is an actual skit. I would actually say this because I think that doing stuff like that, where you're just showing the highlights or the best parts of life, is counterintuitive to the entire point of what these platforms were originally based off of, because I think a lot of people have taken that and to the extreme where they show the peaks and the basically the not real parts of life rather than just show actual life. And I think that that's the main thing. Even if it is mundane per se, it doesn't necessarily have to be mundane. It's something that people choose to do, and also because of the fact that things are so extreme, even the mundane might seem all right, because there are also extremes on the other end where it's so bottomed out that the normalcy of normal is something that is missing in a lot of stuff nowadays. But that's for a different subject for a different day.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none. Exercises skipped. We have none, actually. Got everything in, thankfully. But anyways, the main subject matter for today. Staged videos. Now, the main reason why I wanted to discuss this is because I think that now with AI right around the corner being able to probably one-shot a little one too many people into believing it's real, I think that staged videos are going to become even more abundant than they were already. They've already become a staple in a majority of regular culture, basically, where we're talking beyond the prank videos and things like that, where we're talking about straight up the entirety of a person's life is literally just a persona of what it was. And we're getting weird offshoots of that, to the point where we're going to get to the point where this not even a real person at that point, where it's all fake and it's not even real. And that's going to be a whole can of worms when we really get into it, because it's going to trick so many people into doing dumb shit all the time, especially because of how good it's getting and how realistic it can get. I mean, there's already a bunch of issues with that, but we'll get to that some other day. But I think that staged videos in general, we've poisoned the well, in the sense that most videos you have to stop, look, and gather if whether or not you're listening or watching is something that is completely just even feasible for a regular person to happen to. Now, there are a lot of things that are strange in the world that just happen to happen, of course, that just you happen to be recording. But usually that's the first question, is always, why is this person recording this? And then it goes from there. But it's always just interesting to think about. There are times where you just might be recording something randomly. It's not that too far-fetched, but also now it's kind of weird, because now it's like, all right, that's excusing these videos in a weird sense. But also you have to always remember that. You have to really think about it and see what else these people put out there. And it's just weird. It's like a weird, they're trying to make a weird social commentary with it most of the time, or something along those lines. And it's, in which case it's like, I don't care. Why did you do this in a staged way? You make it so that this now is performative, thus making it not real, thus making me not care. It's a very weird dynamic, to say the least, because usually that's why people will stage it, in a sense that they will want to make sure that their messaging, whatever it is, gets out there. So it's very weird, and I'm not a huge fan of that. It's mostly just tell me the realities of what you want, versus trying to create this thing, or just create these stories that probably never really happened. You know, the Reddit effect. But